Funding now on Indiegogo, it's Shadowbinders, our second chance offer to get 2 hardcovers of our classic webcomic delivered to your door. Steampunk, fantasy, and romantic comedy from Clownfish Comics. Go to Indiegogo, check out the link in the description below. Now on with the video. Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and we're going to talk about the Snyder Cut debacle. Ray Fisher is blasting WarnerMedia because WarnerMedia came out and said that they wanted a safe space. A safe space for fans of the Justice League, for DC Comics fandom. And Ray Fisher's kind of like, yeah, what about me? What about me? So we're going to talk about that and talk about this strange reignition, I guess, of vitriol being thrown at fans by the media, by the studios, all over the Snyder Cut, which initially seemed like a win for fans. Fans been asking for the Snyder Cut for years. We finally got it. In my opinion, it was pretty badass. I liked it quite a bit, but I can't ignore all the behind-the-scenes drama associated with it, and now we're seeing WarnerMedia effectively throw fans under the wheels of the bus again, and there's the drama with Ray Fisher, and the media calling certain segments of the fandom alt-right over the damn Snyder Cut. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers, so we're going to talk about that. Before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 183,000 subs. Thank you for the support. We do talk about pop culture. We talk about comics, talk about animation, whatever interests us that day. And everybody's been talking about the Snyder Cut. We gave our honest opinion of the Snyder Cut in a previous video. Both of us thought it was a much, much better version of Justice League than what we had gotten theatrically. I still can't get past the 4:3 aspect ratio, though. I don't think that was a great choice. But other than that, it was a much better movie, in my opinion. But there's a hell of a lot of drama. A hell of a lot of drama surrounding the fandom and the Snyder Cut and Zack Snyder in particular. He showed up on a live stream with a bunch of Geeks and Gamers people, a charity live stream. And the media smeared Geeks and Gamers as being alt-right. This is the current version of the headline on the Wrap, but they changed it. The original headline on the Wrap said Snyder rips alt-right YouTubers, Geeks and Gamers on Justice League stream. And that's not actually what happened. I think Snyder, as I understood it, gave a prepared statement. And, it didn't make anybody happy because, Warner didn't seem like they were too thrilled with him being on Geeks and Gamers. There seemed like there was a lot of behind-the-scenes drama going on. I'm not 100% sure what happened. I tried watching Jeremy Gregg's video on it, and it does seem like there was a lot of miscommunication, jumping the gun, and Twitter getting involved, trying to stir the shit up. And anyway, it wound up being kind of a cluster because Zack Snyder basically got on there, said, hey, I'm not associated with these guys. And also, let's not hate each other because of what had happened with the recent shootings, spa shootings. And people conflated that with him basically calling this particular group of fans, or implying that they were hate mongers or something. Now, it does seem like WarnerMedia is making its people give blanket statements. I guess Kevin Smith gave a similar statement. And now we've got, the head of WarnerMedia, Ann Sarnoff, coming out and chastising fans. So this is kind of a dick move, isn't it? This movie got made or remade because of the passion of the fan base. After it hits HBO Max and after it's a huge hit, then all of a sudden WarnerMedia is like, yeah, let's attack the fans. Let's do that. Now, to be fair, I think Ann Sarnoff came in after the Snyder Cut had already been greenlit. I'm not entirely sure the timeline of events, but it is kind of a dick move. It really is. Like, hey, thanks, suckers. Now we're going to tell people how awful you really are, but not come right out and say it. But we're going to kind of say it. And Ray Fisher is reminding Warner that they weren't very cool with him. He didn't really have a safe space. We're going to talk about that more, but I do want to point out that the Wrap did originally call Geeks and Gamers alt-right. It's documented on many, many YouTube channels. I just pulled this one up on Krista Nova's channel. It is documented. There is the headline that they said Zack Snyder called them alt-right, or that the Geeks and Gamers were alt-right. That is not true. That is not true, and it's actually a defamatory statement. We wrote about this stupidity with calling certain segments of the fans alt-right on Pirates and Princesses. And I did bring up the situation with Geeks and Gamers. I'm like, you are absolutely playing with fire if you are a news outlet and you're defaming people who have rejected white nationalism, rejected racism. You've got a group here of women and black folks, and you're calling them effectively white nationalists. And you know what happened? Media outlets have been sued for defamation. Remember the MAGA hat kid. You got to be real careful with that. You can't call people or tie people to a hate group if you know they're not. Even in a mocking fashion, you could get your ass sued. And there's a lot of this going around right now on Twitter. But the rap, it looks like they backpedaled. But there's a record. The internet never forgets, right? So speaking of never forgetting, Ray Fisher is not forgetting his treatment on the set of Justice League. He's not. So Ray Fisher demanding that WarnerMedia reveal Justice League investigation findings following CEO Ann Sarnoff's comments. Now, I have actually kind of flipped a little bit on the Ray Fisher situation. Originally, I was kind of like, I don't see any receipts. He's not saying specifically what happened. He just seemed salty that Cyborg's role was diminished, greatly diminished in the theatrical release. Now, since then, he's actually come out and he's actually, given specific examples. There have been Buffy actors that have come out and said, yeah, Joss Whedon's kind of a piece of shit. And that's just how he rolls. And Whedon's been kind of canceled for douchebaggery, as I understand it. Now, I'm not saying that Ray Fisher is, in the right necessarily the way he handled it, because I think he basically went to war with Warner Brothers. And he's going to wind up obviously being blacklisted for Warner Brothers. I don't know if he cares, but he's been effectively fired from the Flash movie. I don't know. I wouldn't even know how to handle it. I'm going to be honest. If I were in his position, I wouldn't know how to handle it, because you want to make sure that people understand what went down. But, in Hollywood, you got to kind of play the game to make sure that you can get your next role. And, if you get a reputation for being a problem, there won't be any next roles. I don't know what the future holds for Cyborg. I thought his expanded role in the Snyder Cut was great. I thought the character made a hell of a lot more sense. And, I can see why he was salty. I totally can see it, because Cyborg was completely nerfed. Cyborg and Flash were completely nerfed in the theatrical cut. That being said, he's been lobbing allegations at Warner, and Ann Sarnoff puts out this big flowery statement, and we're gonna talk about this. So this comes from Deadline. Actor Ray Fisher has been quite content of late on social media, promoting the HBO Max feature Zack Snyder's Justice League, but that changed tonight as he spoke out against WarnerMedia Studios CEO Ann Sarnoff regarding her recent statements in a Variety interview about the studio's investigation into Joss Whedon's alleged misconduct. Sarnoff was asked by Variety's Brent Lang whether the studio investigation into Whedon corroborated any of Fisher's claims of racism on behalf of the studio's employees. Fisher made his initial accusations on social media against Whedon last July. I would not have gone to social media. I would have hired a lawyer and done it back channel. But you're going to weaponize a Twitter mob, right? He accused the filmmaker who replaced Snyder of gross, abusive, unprofessional, and completely unacceptable behavior. Fisher went on to great lengths to point a finger at Justice League producers Jeff Johns and John Berg, who he says enabled Whedon. WarnerMedia conducted an internal probe late last year. That's funny. Conducted an internal probe late last year at Fisher's urging, and in December announced that an investigation into the Justice League movie has concluded and remedial action has been taken. And Whedon got gone off an HBO Max series, I believe. So here's what happened. Our investigators, Judge Catherine Forrest, has issued statements specifically about Walter Hamada, That is who Ray Fisher blasted, saying that there was no evidence of interference by Walter in the investigation. She said that the cuts made in the Joss Whedon version of Justice League were not racially motivated. We took it very seriously, so we hired one of the top investigators out there and gave her a tremendous amount of leeway. Variety also asked whether the Warner Media boss knew about the NDA that Fisher signed, which prevented him from publicly sharing details about what went down on Whedon's watch during Justice League. Sarnoff responded she wasn't aware of such an NDA. She did add that Walter Hamada offered Fisher a role in the upcoming Flash movie. In a series of 5 tweets, Fisher blasted. Apparently, some folks at Warner Media think that a room full of executives saying we can't have an angry black man at the center of the movie and then removing all black and POC from that movie isn't racist. Odd. The investigator hired by Warner Media was brought on to help the company assess and evade legal liability, continually touting her status as a former federal judge in an attempt to sway public opinion is obvious and desperate. She's now simply a lawyer. As I've said, people will attempt to shift blame completely to Joss Whedon for Justice League. Toby Emmerich, Jeff Johns, and John Berg share in that responsibility, with Johns working directly with Joss on restructuring the script based on the execs' convos. What are you going to do? It was a 4-hour movie, you know. Anyway, furthermore, there was really nothing that Walter did against Ray. In fact, he offered him a role in the Flash movie, and Walter happens to be a person of color, so he knows what that feels like. Are the absolute definition of tone deaf. She said that? Well, that's kind of shit. Final thought for now. Rather than trying to convince people on what the Justice League investigation didn't find, how about you start telling them what it did? The public is a lot smarter than what you're giving them credit for. The proof is there more soon. Yeah, so this is pretty interesting stuff here. It's getting spicy, guys. So this dropped last night. The WarnerMedia CEO blasts reprehensible behavior of some Zack Snyder Justice League fans. I think this is about this, the Geeks and Gamers group, low-key, I do. Ann Sarnoff calls for DC fandom to be a safe place moving forward. She had strong words for toxic DC fans in the wake of the Snyder Cut, Zack Snyder's Justice League. The executive was asked about the reputation of some of Snyder's fandom, and reports that some executives perceived as being anti-Snyder Cut had received threats. We're not tolerating any of that, she said, as part of an interview posted Monday. That behavior is reprehensible no matter what franchise you're talking about or what business you're talking about. It's completely unacceptable. I'm very disappointed in the fans that have chosen to go to that negative place with regard to DC, with regard to some of our executives. It's just disappointing. Because we want this to be a safe place. We want DC to be a fandom that feels safe and inclusive. We want people to be able to speak up for the things they love. Unless you're Ray Fisher, you shut the fuck up, right? Right, Ann? That's what you do. But we don't want it to be a culture of canceling things that any small faction isn't happy with. We're not about that. We're about positivity and celebration. Sure, Jan. Sure, Ann. Sure you are. Sure you are. In addition, Sarnoff shot down another fan-led campaign for a critically panned DC film, Suicide Squad Director's Cut. It's not going to happen. Snyder has likewise addressed the issue in recent months, has pushed back against the toxic label. It's true, he did. He said fans aren't toxic. They just want this. Look, are some fans toxic? Absolutely. Some fans are toxic, but not all fans. And you can't call this group of people right here alt-right in a fucking headline on the Wrap. And you know what? I think their legal counsel or their editors must have agreed, because they changed the headline. They took the reference to the alt-right out of it. But, you know, it's already out there. It's archived. It's, you know, people are learning to archive this shit. They are, because it goes down the memory hole. People say dumb, defamatory shit, and then they think they delete it or change the headline, that it changes things. And you can see that this is probably a top-down mentality, that Ann Sarnoff really does believe that Snyder Cut fans are toxic. They gave him a damn movie. She probably didn't greenlight it herself. I don't know the specifics. But, you know, she's like, well, we gave you your damn movie. Shut up. Stop being toxic. Meanwhile, they're supposedly screwing over Ray Fisher. So who the hell knows? This is what they really think, guys. I mean, this is disheartening. This really is, because we thought, oh my God, for once, a studio actually listened to the fans. And they realized that the smokescreen around fandom, calling fans alt-right and Nazis and all this other bullshit, is just that. It's bullshit. And the vast majority of fans are good people. And that does not seem to be the case. They seem to despise the fans, even though we finally got a Snyder cut. It was purely financial. They don't have a lot of love for the fandom over there, which is really, really unfortunate. And it's probably going to bite you in the ass at some point financially. I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.